desk.
Thank you, Freak. And gentlemen, I want to look first at the pick from TDK, their first pick rather, in the Nautilus. Given the fact that with the loss of bans, there were a fair number of champions left up on the table, they're opting to go for that first pick Nautilus.
Yeah, I think it shows a lot about a team when there's like a lot of bans that are lost and you're like, okay, all these champions are up. Let's first pick Nautilus. It's not Alistar, it's not Echo. They're like, all right, this is the champion we think is strongest for what we want to do. They picked the Nautilus for the bottom lane, and that signals to me we want to go in on the bottom lane. I was really surprised they didn't pair it with a Sivir there, and ultimately this composition had no way to deal with the AP Kog'Maw, which wasn't even last picked by CLG. So TDK has a weird pick ban that's really different from any other team here, and I think it was kind of an oversight there that they got to the point. They did have a lead, but then they couldn't get to Pobelter at all during these games. So he really just played like the AP Kog'Maw power curve, and he's like, nobody can touch me now. They don't even have the tools from the draft phase to get to me. So he's basically safe, barring some mispositioning. And I thought that CLG played that portion well, and their champion select pretty well.
Yeah, you do have to wonder how much of that is a product of the team just lunging at the champions that they're most comfortable with because they don't have, you know, the practice behind them with the numerous team compositions that you could create with these power picks.
Yeah, and like Latman, I know he's a sub, but now we have enough information to pull from. He hasn't played a single Sivir game yet. So TDK is yet to run a Sivir composition and run at a back line. They've pretty much been on the back foot. Even when they get a lead, they're not forcing the issue.
They've even first picked Corki before. He really, he's in love with Corki, basically.
Well, he does want, I mean, he does have a lot of early power on that Corki, and I do want to move into the bottom lane and look at it more from the angle of CLG, though, because they had some struggles down there.
Yeah, it definitely was, and this is something that you have to keep an eye on for all professional teams. If you have standard lanes like this, and you get almost like 10 minutes into the game, the bottom lane is a powder cake, because everybody can show up to the bottom lane. If you watch LPL or LCK, if there's any action in standard lanes in the bottom lane, you get both TPs channeled immediately, both mid laners start running down immediately, and both junglers are there. So especially if you're the team creating the conflict in the bottom lane, like CLG were this time, you have to be ready to all in all of your chips on that bottom lane and make sure that comes out in your favor. Double lift and Afro move, they started off before Smithy gets there. He's on the way down the river, and then they didn't have good communication with Zion because Seraph's TP starts channeling first, and Zion's in this sort of panic mode where he's almost got enough rage to go Mega Form to stun, and he tries to build up enough rage, he just can't quite get it. So not only does he not teleport first, even though they're the ones aggressing, he also is not able to interrupt the teleport, and this is a big hole for CLG. Luckily for CLG, they go into damage control, they wait on their AP Kog'Maw, and they're fine playing the late game. But that was a big mistake for the early game.
Now, interestingly enough, this is the first game this split that CLG has even sent their bottom lane to the bottom lane. Every single other game, no matter what side of the map they're on, they've gone to the top lane. So traditionally avoiding the standard lanes, and this time, opting into the standard lane and it not working out entirely well for them in the early game.
Yeah, usually their formula is we lane swap, we get double lift in a lane with free farm. Even if they go on 2-on-2, it's like, oh, we can pull Afromoo into a different lane very quickly and have him roam around and play to his strengths. And they weren't able to do that this game. Afromoo didn't get out of the lane for a long, long while. And they even lost that bottom lane to Latman and Smoothie. So I think it's because they thought they had the better lane matchup in the bottom lane and they wanted to test their mettle. I know double lift, he doesn't have his pinky, whatever. It wasn't that. It was just the fact that there was so much action that went down there, like you said, that caused that advantage for TDK.
Yeah, to be fair, sometimes when CLG send their duo lane top, they're calling a lane swap and they're getting a 2v2. But yeah, that's ridiculous. That's the first time they've actually gone down bottom.
Yeah, actually physically been in the bottom lane. They've had the 2v2 matchup before. The next thing I want to jump to is the fact that this CLG squad looked a little off-kilter, a little lackluster in this game. With the idea that TDK is a sub-squad, you would have looked for a cleaner game from CLG. And I don't know if that bodes particularly well for them when you look ahead at their schedule, and next week they're playing both Liquid and TSM, two of, the top teams in the league that, are battling for those top positions.
Yeah, definitely excited, especially for the rematch for TSM CLG because of that game that they dropped earlier. And while, all teams in the North American LCS are making mistakes like this, even in the games that they win. So everybody is kind of unsure where teams stand right now in the North American LCS, and even the players after victories are kind of like they're not as happy as we're used to seeing them. I think that it was a good job when they went into that damage control situation. They didn't panic after they got the early deficit, and they just were able to rely on their team comp and the AP Kog'Maw, and they knew their path to victory. They didn't go all crazy just because they lost bottom lane.
All right, well, yes, they did come out with the victory in the end. We're going to queue up for our next match, Team Liquid versus Team Solo Mid in our Game of the Week. The North American LCS continues after this.
Wait, after the game, let's not do that circle thing or else I'll cut my hand.
Boy, you got 2 hands, dog. What?
We'll surround you.
You don't want to use your right hand?
Yeah, we can surround you. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Protect the double lift.
Zion Spartan is Mega Gnar and finds Kez. A lot of damage dealt to this Rek'Sai who flashed the way. Pobelter getting damage to the back line, still looking for someone to kill.
Want me to ulti pan them?
I can kill them all.
Guys.
Yeah, do it.
I'm gonna ulti.
Nice. Kill him. Nice.
And in comes the cow. There's the headbutt. There's the pulverized. Seraph goes down, trades the kill. Equalizer comes in. Baron kill for CLG. A couple kills picked up as well. Seraph, they're in the middle of the lineup, getting chunked out by Zion Spartan.
Alistar.
I'm zoning Corki. I'm zoning Corki.
Nice.
I'm on Corki too.
He has nothing. I'm going in.
CLG 6-1 after knocking down TDK.